Good morning, Pete from North Las Vegas. We are back on the Double R Armory A2 upper receiver, purchased through JSE Surplus. I had this thing all put together and was in the process of ordering more parts to maybe get started on the lower or the barrel or whatever. And I took one last look at it, and what I noticed was the Rock River Arms rear two sight. The indexing portion of the elevation drum was stamped wrong. And I did a separate video on this, but I thought we'd cover it again a little bit. You can see that number 4 is lined up with the number 5 on the top. And the top number 4 is in the correct location. And this thing has just been mismarked. So I decided we weren't going to live with that. So here's a correct one. This is from Fulton Armory, and you can see the 4 starts off a little sooner and ends up right there. Okay, but the saga continues. After discovering the problem with the Rock River Arms indexing drum, I decided to go ahead and just order a whole complete new rear sight from Fulton Armory. And so I wait, stuff shows up, and the complete A2 rear sight is missing. It's not in the box. I searched everywhere. They just did not include it with the order. And then the other problem I had was this handguard cap. That's how it showed up. You see that split down there at the bottom? So annoyance and frustration level increasing. These parts showed up on a Friday afternoon, so I had to wait the entire weekend. Called him up Monday. The guy I talked to was very good, kind of apologetic, said he was sorry. Once I explained to him, that this didn't show up and that was defective, before I even hung up the phone, I had another shipping confirmation of him replacing the parts. So we'll see what we got. Another 4 or 5 days later, the replacement Fulton Armory A2 shows up, along with a replacement cap that does not have a split in it. And I looked this one over really close. I couldn't find any thin metal, so I believe that this is a good part. So while I was ordering the Fulton Armory, I thought I'm going to try M&A Parts and just order their drum separately. They're one of the few places that actually sell individual components. So I'm going to try one of their drums. So I tried the M&A drum on both the Rock River Arms and the Fulton Armory, and the thread pitch, everything about it. It's a very nice fit. However, I'm not going to use this, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But before we get into this drum, which mechanically, dimensionally, there's nothing wrong with it, there is something that I don't care for. But on the replacement Fulton Armory, even without the spring and detent, I cannot get it to go all the way into the receiver. It stops about halfway. And that's as far as it goes. And if I put any more pressure on it, I'm going to start eating up parts. So the replacement Fulton Armory doesn't fit this receiver. Now, we already know that the Rock River Arms does, even with the ball, spring, and detent. And it's a very nice fit. And it goes all the way down, and it's fine. So I decided, let's take a measurement and see what's going on here. Let's try to see if either it's the receiver maybe, or if this thing here is just a little bit bigger than it should be. So let's get the calipers out, and I'll show you what's going on. Rock River Arms comes in right at 1.1. Fulton Armory comes in at 1.11, so it's 10 thousandths wider at this measurement point. So there is a difference between the two. The M&A is on the left, Fulton Armory is on the right. Now on the top, the stampings look very close, very similar, although the Fulton Armory, in my opinion, is a little bit crisper, a little bit deeper on the stamping than the M&A, but you can see them pretty well. But where we ran into a little bit of an issue here for me is on the side markings. So let me show you the difference there. M&A on the top, Fulton Armory on the bottom. You can see that the stampings on the Fulton Armory are much better, deeper, more defined, crisper. They look a little bit different, slightly different font, whatever you want to call that. And that 4 really sticks out like a sore thumb. The numbers going around the M&A, I don't know, it just doesn't look as good. Like I said, physically, mechanically, dimensionally, there's nothing wrong with the M&A part. It fits just fine. I don't like the way they stamp the numbering. So what I'm going to do to solve all these little problems is I'm going to use the Rock River Arm sight base, Fulton Armory indexing drum, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and use the Fulton Armory detent ring. And so that's how we're going to get this all solved in there. And I'll show you the final result when I get it all put back together. But I did want to talk about one other thing. You're going to find a lot of sites that I went to 5 different sites before I discovered this. There's not that many vendors that are offering the components separately. You pretty much got to buy the whole entire sight base. But out of all of them I looked at, Luth AR listed these pins, and this is where I discovered that this pin here is the same exact pin that's used to hold your forward assist together. So this pin in here and this pin in here are the same. So every time I think I know something about ARs, I learn something new. So what is that pin? Okay. The mil-spec part number is 16562-121. Sometimes it shows up as NASM, National Aeronautic, something or other. I don't remember. But there's the actual pin size, 3/32 by 5/8. And there's the type of steel, 1070-195 carbon steel zinc phosphate. You know, if you're in a pinch, maybe you run down to your hardware store, but I would try to find pins that have the MS part number. You're probably going to have pins that are closer to the actual mil-spec dimensions. But anyway, I thought I'd just show you on a schematic, just to show you the proof. Okay, so here's the pin part number for the rear sight, 16562-121. There's the same part number on the pin to hold your forward assist assembly onto the receiver. So those 2 pins are the same. I learned something new. So for some of you that might be interested in the windage markings between the two, Rock River Arms on the right and Fulton Armory on the left. So I'm probably going to, even though this was tight and didn't fit in this particular receiver, I'm going to go ahead and keep this just in case maybe a future build I run across a receiver where it's got a little bit more slop, and then this will be a nice snug fit. So it's, for this receiver, it was just off by about 10 thousandths, not much. So here's a look at the finished product. Even with the Rock River Arms sight base here, it's pretty snug, no wobble. All right, well, we just got one thing left to do. All right, this is the mismarked Rock River arms. Fulton Armory.